Hello and welcome to a new edition of True Audio Files. Today I am going to be doing a sound quality shootout, as you saw, based on the new reissue and deluxe version of For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. And I'll go into this a little bit more in detail, the deluxe edition and what it includes. But before I even get too deep into this and talking about this release, I really want to talk about some sad news in the industry. Something that seems to be a trend coming is a lot of, well, not a lot, but some recording studios are closing down because of home studio recording, where you can, for less than a day's worth of recording at one of these nice studios, you can buy your own setup. Not that it's going to sound as good, but regardless, that has been a trend that's happening. I have a friend that has a recording studio that is shutting his down, but also his was more about something different than what is going on with the record plant in Los Angeles. Record plant, if you don't know, is shutting its doors, and also if you don't know, it's one of the most iconic recording studios in the industry. Maybe not at the level of Abbey Road's, but, there were some amazing albums recorded there. Stuff like Fleetwood Mac's Rumors was recorded there. Eagles Hotel California was recorded there. Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. Just a lot of great music was recorded there. And it's very sad to see it closing its doors because it just can't sustain its business because of the industry and how it's changing and how recording technology has made it affordable for the masses to do it at home instead. And it's kind of a lost art, or we're starting to lose that art anyways, of recording engineers and doing this work and having that sound just be amazing. Obviously, there are still some studios around. Kevin Gray actually just opened his own studio, more for an audiophile audience. It's kind of a niche area, but he's still around doing it. And there's obviously some others that are out there that are big. Abbey Road is still around, I believe, and I believe Electric Ladyland Studio, I believe, is still around. Jimi Hendrix's recording studio that he started. But just sad to see such an iconic recording studio go down. And be interesting to see what happens with that. Maybe if someone, I would hope someone would buy it and keep it going. But I don't see that happening. So, anyways, I really just wanted to cover that because I think that's an important thing that's happening in the industry that has been announced this week, and it seems to be a growing trend in the industry of recording studios ceasing to operate just because of the economics that are out there in the industry, and the technology has been changing so much, and the demand for great sounding recordings seems to be diminishing over time. People listen to stuff in their wireless earbuds and Bluetooth speakers, and not on these nicer home systems more and more now, though. So anyway, just wanted to cover that and talk about that first before we got into For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. So, as you know, as you know if you follow me anyways, you know that I did a review of, or a sound quality shootout of the box set that came out a few months ago, of the Sammy Hagar years of Van Halen. And so I was actually kind of excited to see that they decided to do a reboot or a deluxe edition of For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. So there's a couple of reasons why I was excited. Number one is because all of the records that were in that box set actually sounded really good, with the exception of For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. And I'll put a link to the video so you can see what I'm talking about in my description, but I will also talk about a little bit here. On the second side mainly was where it was the most obvious, but there was some sort of a distortion or some sort of an issue in the right channel of that. And I actually went through 3 different copies to see if it may have been just a defective pressing, or that one specific record was defective. But all three of them had the issue. On my video that I talked about it, the comments, there was a comment or two saying that they had experienced the same issue with their copies. So it seems like it wasn't just me that had the issue, but there were some other people that did. And quite frankly, I'm not sure how noticeable it would be if you're not, number one, like really sitting down and listening to it and paying attention to it, but secondly, and more importantly, if you didn't have another copy of it or a digital copy that you would compare it to. So that was a real big disappointment with that box set, and I'm not really sure what happened there. But anyways, I was very excited to see that they released this. I was hoping that that issue was no longer going to be part of this release. And the other thing that really excited me about this, there's two things. One is they actually spread the album out over 3 sides. So you basically have 2 records, although the third or second record, I should say, on the 4th side, and I'm pulling it out now so you can take a look at it, is basically a etching. I'm not really sure it's an etching, but whatever you want to call it. But it's basically the Van Halen logo is on the second, or I'm sorry, the 4th side. So there's basically, the album is spread out over 3 sides, and that gives it a little bit more flexibility in terms of what you can do when you're cutting. You should, in theory, be able to get some better sound out of it because you're not squeezing as much music onto these sides. So the album was 52 minutes long, which means, on average, each side was about 26 minutes, which, once you start going beyond 20 to 22 minutes long on each side, it starts to really eat into the potential fidelity that you can get out of the recording. So it was very nice to see that they split it up over 3 sides. And some of the other nice things that were on this is it does come with a Blu-ray, and I'll actually show you the inside. But anyways, this is the box. It's kind of a tri-fold here. I have missing right here is the Blu-ray, and part of the reason for that is because I wanted to listen to and watch the video. The video actually had a live concert. It was a free concert done at the West End Marketplace in Dallas, Texas. And they also have, on that same Blu-ray, there's the 4 videos that were done, and they were upgraded to high def, and they sound great, they look great. So you got Pound Cake, Run Around Right Now, and Top of the World videos on the Blu-ray as well. So, and there's also 2 CDs, as you saw. The second CD has basically got that concert plus 3 single edits from the album. Basically, you have 2 versions of Right Now. You have the piano version and the guitar version, and that were single mixes, and then The Dream Is Over instrumental version as part of this as well. I kind of wish that they released both of those other 2 things on record as well, but it's okay. They to keep the price down, I can completely understand that because it already was kind of expensive to begin with. So anyway, getting to the sound quality and the Shootout here. Normally how I do things, I listen to these albums all the way through, the new album all the way through, and then I'll pick a song that or 2 that I think best represents the album from a fidelity standpoint and do an A/B comparison. This time around, though, I've already done that a few months ago, so I already knew what songs I wanted to pick, and as most specifically because of the issue that I had on the box set version. So I decided to do Right Now. So I have, as I said, the box set. I also have a Columbia House version of this, which is the only version that I'm aware of that came out in the US prior to the box set reissue. There is a German version or European version, I'm not sure. I think it's a German pressing, and I really wish I had that one, but I don't have that one to listen to. But then I also have, this is the box set version, which, this is the actual box right here. So those are the 3 that I have that I've done the comparisons with. So one thing I will say right off the bat, which was great news for me, is the new version, the 2 record set, that issue that was on the new box set version is not there anymore. There's no distortion or weird sound emanating from the right speaker anymore. It sounds the way it should, which was great news. And I thought it sounded really good. The soundstage was nice, really wide. It was really obvious, most obvious when the background vocals were singing right now. Michael Anthony and whoever else was part of the vocals. Those were definitely seemed to be the loudest, the widest part of the soundstage in terms of being the furthest out, almost beyond the speakers, which was really nice. The drums were centered, the bass guitar was centered, the main vocals were centered, guitar off to the left, and but overall, I thought the sound quality was really good. I would always, not always, but I'm almost always someone who prefers a little bit more bass, especially on most Van Halen tracks, I think, or albums. I think the only Van Halen album that I feel has a really good amount of bass is the first one. They seem to get less and less bass as they went forward. 1984 being the worst culprit, where there's virtually no bass on that album. But anyways, this one has more bass than 1984, thankfully. But anyways, there's still decent bass. There's times where you can sort of feel it a little bit, and so I thought overall, I think they did a great job. I think it was super quiet too. The pressing was nice and quiet, which was really nice. Not dead silent, but definitely nice and quiet. So I put on the box set reissue one just to confirm what I had heard. I actually did put that on initially, to be honest with you, before I put on the new 2 LP set, and definitely noticed that issue with the distortion or something on the right channel right away. So it was I definitely wanted to get myself familiar with it, make sure that I didn't hear that on the new 2 LP, which I didn't. So I really didn't do a whole lot of comparison with the box set one, just because of the issues that I had with it. So I went back to the Columbia House version, and it sounds really good too. It's very good. It's a little noisier though than, which is not all that surprising, but a little noisier than the 2 LP version. It also has some kind of pre-echo, so you kind of hear the piano before it actually comes in on the record a little bit. So not that that's a deal breaker or anything, but I thought it actually overall sounded pretty good. Very similar EQ to the 2 LP set. There's a possibility maybe that there's just a slight bit more deeper bass, but it's very little, if there's any at all, more. What I did notice though as a difference between the Columbia House one and the new one is the new one definitely had a wider soundstage. So I would say that there's the edge on that one. If that's something that's important to you, I would say EQ-wise, almost nearly identical, just with maybe a slight bit of an edge in the deeper bass on the Columbia House, but it's very minor at best. They're very close. So that's kind of my take. I would say, I think, if you like this album, this is a great version of it to go with. It's probably my favorite of the 3 that I own. It's definitely the favorite of the ones I own, if you don't mind having 3 sides instead of 2. And the extras, especially the concert and the single tracks and the instrumental and the videos, all that together makes for, I think, a great release. Definitely the best sounding version of it on record that I own as well. So I can't say anything bad about the new release. As a matter of fact, it's all good. So, if you had second thoughts or were considering it, I would say go for it. It's definitely going to be at least better than the box set version in terms of the records that are on there, and the extras kind of just give it that extra push forward to say go for it. So that is everything I have for this week. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Do you have this version of For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge? Do you have the German copy or European pressing back in the day that you've compared to? I know that I've seen a couple of other YouTubers, or at least one other YouTuber that has does have that one, and they preferred the new one as well. But I would love to hear your take if you do, and what your thoughts are on that, and just in general, what your thoughts are on this release. I do wish that they, and maybe they will, come out with this as a record-only reissue instead of a 2 CD, a Blu-ray, and record release, but we'll see what happens with that. Cross my fingers that they do. So, anyways, that's everything I have for this week. I want to thank you for subscribing if you do subscribe. If not, would love to see you subscribe. Please hit the like button if you liked the video, and hit that alert bell to let you know when new videos come out of mine. So that's everything I got. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Thanks a lot.